Today, I'm giving you more value than most paid courses and mentorships out there. I'm breaking down the 9 most powerful trading psychology lessons that I've learned from journaling over 1,000 pages of trades in my 4 years of trading. These are the exact mindset shifts that took my students from being stuck in a never-ending doom cycle to becoming consistently profitable and getting 5-figure payouts every single month with proof. If you're currently struggling with the mental side of trading, this video might be the most important 10 minutes of your entire trading career. So let's jump straight into it. Now, the first and most important lesson is to actually zoom out and look at trading from a larger perspective. When I started with my first 50K Profit Challenge from Apex, I was literally obsessed with daily results. I'd go from 50K to 52K back to 49K in this constant ripsaw pattern, letting the outcome of every single trade affect my mental and my emotions. But let me tell you, trading isn't about winning, especially not about winning every day, every week, or even every month. It's actually the exact opposite, because it's about not losing in the long term. I've had months where I barely took a profitable trade, followed by months where I made over 50K, with my biggest trading day being $28,000 with proof. And it came right after a series of losses. And that had me questioning everything, because when you zoom out, you understand that one loss or even a couple of losses mean absolutely nothing if your system works over time. So never base your trading decisions on a trade-by-trade basis, because that's when emotions take over and you start forcing trades outside of your trading plan. Trading is a marathon, not a sprint. You win it mile by mile, brick by brick, day by day, trade by trade. Now, lesson number 2 is to eliminate all expectations from your trading. I used to set daily goals, 500, 1,000, even 2,000 a day. And that forced me to take trades even when there was no A+ setup, and even if that trade was outside of my own strategy. I thought that I needed 3 to 5 trades per day. I thought that I had to trade every single day to be a real trader. Now I know better, because some days there are just 0 good setups, and that's totally fine. The same goes for when you're in a trade. Okay, if you expect it to win and instead it loses, that attachment leads to revenge trading, because your ego can't bear the pain of that loss. I learned this the hard way by constantly blowing accounts literally every single week for almost a full year. And let me tell you that the best mindset is to expect nothing instead of setting daily profit goals, because that way, when you lose, you're emotionally prepared, right? And when you win, it feels even better. And let me tell you, the closer you get to becoming a profitable trader, the better it feels when you know you just followed your plan, and the less you will care about the outcome of your trades, because you will be able to detach from that and finally get to a state of a regulated nervous system and a state of absolute self-awareness. And the third lesson that changed everything for me is to stop thinking about the money and start thinking about what you can learn from every single trade that you take. When I was 30 years old and almost bankrupt, all I could think about was money. I was completely focused on making my first million. And the irony here is I only started making consistent money when I stopped focusing on the P&L and the dollar amount. Every loss is a lesson, and so is every win. Focus on taking that one improvement from each trade until you reach the point where there's no lesson anymore, because you executed your strategy, your A+ setup, so perfectly that you don't even care about the outcome anymore. And there's nothing more to learn for you, because you finally mastered your setup. This is why I'm such a huge advocate for journaling. Those 1,000 pages of notes weren't about how much money I made or lost. They were about what I learned and keeping myself accountable for my actions, and to remind myself of the proven statistical edge my strategy has. The money is just a scoreboard. It's not the game itself, because the game of trading is about being patient and waiting for your A+ setup only, and then executing it perfectly. Lesson number 4 is trade with your A game only. What do I mean by that? Never trade unless you're mentally and physically at your best. I do a full mental scan every morning before the trading day starts. I meditate every single evening before I go to sleep, and also every single morning when I wake up. And before I even open the charts, I always ask myself every single day, how did I sleep? Am I focused? Am I anxious about anything? Do I have any other pressing or important events today? If I score too high on anxiety, or if I'm too low in focus, I simply don't trade that day. And guess what? Those are usually the days where I would have lost a lot of money if I jumped into the markets out of FOMO. I know I did it in the past, and that is exactly why I'm so disciplined with my morning and evening routine. I'm up at 7:30 a.m. latest every single day, hydrating, exercising, getting sunlight, and getting my mind right before the markets open. Some days I'll even fast for 12 to 16 hours because a hungry dog fights harder. Your physical state directly impacts your trading performance. If you're tired, stressed, or distracted, your decision making will inevitably suffer. Being disciplined with your body directly correlates with building discipline in your trading because it's all connected. And with that being said, the fifth lesson is that quality equals profits and quality over quantity, which directly correlates to discipline. When I started out with trading, I traded literally everything, trying to ride every single move that I saw across multiple assets. I traded Forex, indices, commodities, crypto. I've basically tried everything because I thought that more trades lead to more money, just to realize someday I couldn't be more wrong. Now I only trade one asset only, the Nasdaq, during one session only. I personally trade the London session on one time frame only. For me, it's the 50-minute time frame, using one exact A+ setup every single day. I've learned the personality and the characteristics of the Nasdaq like the back of my hand. I know how and why it moves, and I've built confidence in trading it over the past few years. I used to watch 100 different assets, and now I have disciplined myself to stick to only one single asset, which is the Nasdaq. And let me tell you, I'd rather miss 100 mediocre setups than one perfect setup, because trading is just like fishing. You don't catch your line and then immediately reel it back because no fish is biting. You just sit there patiently and wait for the big, obvious and clear setup to present itself. When it's clear, you know it's clear because it's so obvious that you don't even have one single doubt, and therefore you don't hesitate taking that setup and simply attack, right? This pickiness dramatically reduced my losses and increased my win rate massively. If I don't have at least 2 strong confirmations on a setup, I simply don't take it. If I have just one single moment of hesitation or any small doubt in taking that setup, I train myself to not take it. And that directly correlates with lesson number 6, which is always protect your capital first. This is something I learned the hard way. Capital preservation is your number 1 job as a trader. And let me tell you that if you finally understand trading, you also understand that you are not a trader, but instead you are a risk manager. The best traders aren't the ones who make the most money on winning trades. They are the ones who lose the least on losing trades, because they are able to keep the money. Yeah? Because making the money is easy, but keeping that money is the hard part. And let me tell you, there were times in my trading career where I had a massive winning streak and I got overconfident. So I took bigger risks and I wanted to double my usual monthly profit, which would have been the logical next step, I thought at the time. But instead, I ended up blowing all my 20 funded accounts with Apex only because I forgot this one very important fundamental rule, which is always protect your capital first. So your number 1 job as a trader isn't to make money. It's to not lose money. The part of making money then comes naturally when you focus on executing your setup perfectly, regardless of your emotions and regardless of the outcome, and just keeping your losers small and managed. I say this all the time: small losses, big wins. If I look at someone's trading journal, I don't care about their wins. I don't look at my students' wins at all. Show me your losses and I'll tell you if you're going to make it as a profitable trader. This is why hard stops and risk management are non-negotiable, especially in this current market conditions in 2026. They are what keep you in the game long enough to win, because you need to understand that trading is a survival game. Now, lesson number 7 is stop fighting the trend. I've learned that fighting the trend is one of the quickest ways to blow up your account, and that's actually one of the most common reasons why 99% of all traders out there are unprofitable, because they think they can predict the market and that they can predict the exact point when it's going to reverse. But let me tell you that the market can stay irrational way longer than you can survive within the markets. If the trend is up, look for longs. If it's down, look for shorts. Don't try to call tops and bottoms or catch reversals without a clear sign of reversal and a fixed risk management. This ties into another critical point. Those who will survive the markets will always be the adaptable ones, not the strong ones, because market always change. What worked in 2021 didn't work in 2022. What works now might not work next year. My best trading years came when I stopped being stubborn about my strategies and started adapting to what the market was giving me. I focus on managing my risk properly and I let the rest work out by itself, because that is one of the few things that I can actually control, because if I enter a trade, I can't control the outcome, right? But instead, I just leave it to the markets because I fully trust in my statistical edge, all right? Now, lesson number 8 is if you miss a trade, it's completely fine. Just imagine trades are like buses. You miss one and still there will always be another one coming. So, FOMO, fear of missing out, is one of the biggest account killers, if not the biggest. I used to always force myself back into the markets after missing a good setup, kick myself, and it almost always led to a loss. And today, if I miss a trade, I just say, I'm done for the day. I take a break, I journal, I come back stronger tomorrow, and simply wait for the next A+ setup. The market will always be there tomorrow, next week, next month, but you won't be able to catch those setups if you blow your account or keep nurturing the bad habits of over and revenge trading. So you have to develop the ability to stay disciplined and patient. This is a very crucial mindset shift. Accepting missed opportunities without beating yourself up or trying to chase them is a sign of trading maturity and a big step towards becoming a consistently profitable trader. And that leads me to lesson number 9. Accountability is everything. Guys, the final lesson that tied everything together is always hold yourself accountable. Discipline over dopamine. Discipline over instant gratification. If you lose on a trade, don't blame the market, don't blame the strategy, don't blame other traders, don't blame your mentor. Look into the mirror and hold yourself accountable. When I started holding myself accountable, really being honest about my mistakes and my weaknesses instead of pointing with my fingers at others, my trading literally transformed. This is why I always tell my students to journal every single trade, not just what happened, but why it happened. And I still remember the day it clicked for me, because back then I kept promising myself to always follow all my rules and stop breaking my promises. And finally, one day, I decided that I was done breaking my promise to myself in my trading and in my day-to-day life. I got a notebook, not my phone, a physical notebook actually, and wrote down exactly what I would and what I wouldn't do in my trading. And that completely changed everything for me. And let me tell you that there's power in accountability partners too. Find someone who will call you out when you're slipping, when you're not doing the right thing, or when you're just simply getting emotional in front of the charts. Because sometimes it's easy for us to look in the mirror and tell ourselves a lie, but when you have somebody that is an accountability partner that truly wants the best for you, they are gonna call you out when you're simply not in your best mental condition. So I can honestly say these 9 lessons from my 4 years of trading completely changed my life. They took me from being flat broke to having freedom to trade from anywhere in the world, to building something that I'm very, very proud of, and most importantly, to actually help my family. Trading is super hard, but there's a massive light at the end of the tunnel if you stay patient, if you stay disciplined, and if you stay the course. If you want to learn more about how to actually become a consistently profitable trader, if you want to know the exact system all of my students use to rewire their nervous system and become the profitable version of themselves, and how they apply these psychological principles every single day, just click the link in the description below to get access to my free trading. I have some of the most successful students in the industry because, unlike most fake trading gurus out there, I actually trade, and I can not only prove my own results, but also all the results of my students, because I give my students the full blueprint from A to Z, how to rewire their nervous system and get to the state of self-awareness in order to become a profitable trader, regardless of their current strategy. Because by now you should have understood becoming a profitable trader is not about having the best or perfect strategy, but instead it's all about psychology, rewiring your nervous system and get to a state of self-awareness to execute your A+ setups perfectly without your emotions hijacking your decision making every single day. So with that being said, pray, grind, focus, repeat. That's what it takes. Check out the link in the description below and let's make you profitable.